there is one exercise that is the absolute pinnacle of testing upper body strength and can be a good measure of how strong we actually are, and that's the pull-up. My name is Rich, I'm with RKAthletics. I'm here today to break down a few different exercises to help you build towards your pull-up. Now, before saying anything else, I will caveat this with the one biggest thing that you can do for yourself to help build towards a pull-up isn't an exercise, it's in the kitchen. Working on your nutrition and dropping unnecessary body fat is one of the best things you can do to help you get your chin or nose above the bar. Now let's get into it. So first and foremost, we want to develop the muscles in our back before we even think about grabbing onto the bar. So what we can do to develop that is actually going to be using dumbbell rows, seated rows, or for the example that I have here today, the lat pull down. I find the lat pull down is a great place to start for so many people when it comes to developing the strength to eventually pull themselves off the ground. We need to be able to have that lat strength and that back strength to be able to pull down that bar towards our chest. So lat pull down is absolutely one of the very best places to get started on your journey to doing a pull-up. Now once we've gotten through the lat pull down, we've developed strength through our back utilizing dumbbell rows, seated rows, lat pull down. We want to get accustomed to using our body weight for these types of exercises. So what we can do is we can actually utilize a bodyweight row as a way to develop strength through the entire body. So when we're looking at a pull-up, it's not just pulling down or pulling ourselves up, it's also bracing our core, it's also our grip strength. There's a lot more to it than it looks. So what we want to utilize is get used to using our body weight in a way that we can develop our grip strength, that we can develop our back strength to be able to pull ourselves up and utilize our body weight, not a mimicked weight with the lat pull down, and actually be able to brace ourselves through the core and through the legs. So the bodyweight row is a great next step once we've developed the strength through our back, through rows, through lat pull downs, and then moving into more body weight exercises. So once we've kind of gotten body weight rows down, we can graduate up into finally getting into a pull-up position. So I will kind of put a little asterisk with this. I do recommend going into more of a chin-up rather than a pull-up immediately. So a chin-up will have a supine grip, so your hands are facing towards you as you grip onto the bar. You have a little bit more mechanical advantage. It's easier to build strength, and it's a little bit easier for the body to adjust to rather than the overhand grip. However, we're going to focus on the overhand grip for today, and the next kind of step that I would take for most people is going into shoulder depression. So simply dropping our shoulder blades down as we're holding our body weight up. So this can be done on the lat pull down, but here I'm demonstrating on the bar how we can do that. So just simply holding onto the bar, getting our grip strength ready for our body weight. We can simply just depress our shoulders down, really working on our lower traps, and then recovering from there. So what this is going to help us do is when we go into our pull-up, we're not necessarily going to scrunch our shoulders up like this. So we don't want to be in a big ball when we're over top of the bar. We want to be in a nice strong position so our lats are actually getting some work there. So what doing this does is allow us to have better stability and better strength through our shoulder blades to make sure that when we're doing our full pull-up, they actually look nice. So now that our lower traps are nice and strong and we can keep our shoulders back as we're lifting ourselves up, now it's time to actually move into a pull-up position or a pull-up exercise. Now I like to start with the banded pull-up. So in the example here, I'm using the wrong kind of band. I would recommend using a looped band. That way you can either wrap it around the top of your pull-up bar or around the bottom of a squat rack using the prongs to kind of set your feet on and allow yourself to be pulled up a little bit more. Now you can also use a pull-up assisted machine. However, I don't really like the machine because it does take away the stability that we need to use for our core to brace ourselves as we're going up for this movement. Now the banded pull-up is again a good way to start easing our body into things. By not having to hold up our entire body weight, we can actually have an easier time doing this pull-up, developing the proper range of motion, developing the proper muscle activation, and by developing the proper strength techniques. So when we're starting to move into that pull-up position, I always like to start off with the banded pull-up. Now the next step, we can go one of two different ways. I like both of them equally, but I like to kind of gradually introduce these to people. So the first one that I'll typically start with is a pull-up hold. So this is actually just going to be holding the isometric contraction of our pull-up. So that's going to be holding ourselves over the bar. So you can see in this example, it's just holding ourselves to develop more strength at the top point of the actual pull-up to make sure that we have more strength to get there. So doing these isometric holds can be a great way to develop strength in our pull-up muscles. Again, holding it for a couple seconds at a time and developing that strength first can be highly beneficial. But what you can also use is actually a negative pull-up. So doing a negative pull-up simply means that you're jumping yourself up. This can also be called an eccentric pull-up, by the way. So you jump yourself up and then you slowly let yourself back down. So what this allows us to do is once again get used to that movement pattern while also resisting the force of gravity as it's pulling us down to the ground. So that allows us to get a better elongation through the muscle group. It allows us to develop better eccentric strength, which will eventually lead into concentric strength for ourselves as well. So practicing the negative version of the pull-up is a great way to develop strength. Practicing the isometric hold of a pull-up is a great way to develop the concentric strength to help pull us up. So both variations are good. Both variations are great for the kind of the next step. And then it's main event time. We're going into the pull-up. Now, before we get into the main event, there are coming some accessory exercises that you can do to kind of help speed up your progression, if you will. So a lot of forearm and grip work is going to be important here because we do need to be able to grip up the bar and hold ourselves off the ground, but doing a lot of bicep work helps as well. Biceps are kind of a secondary movement in our pull-up. In any type of pulling movement, biceps are going to be involved. So doing things like bicep curls might be a good idea. Another area that we can actually work on is actually by doing shoulder shrugs. So again, working really hard to develop the strength in our back, not just through our lats and our rhomboids, but also through our traps as well, as they will be prevalent in our pull-up position. However, we don't want to be up in this condensed position, as mentioned before. And then one of the biggest ones that people always overlook, myself included, is the mobility side of things. The better mobility we have, the easier it is to perform the actual movement. So if we have good upper body movement patterns, if we have good T-spine flexibility, if we have good flexibility through the shoulders, it will make doing a pull-up a whole hell of a lot easier. So make sure that you add in a little bit of accessory work along the way to help you towards your ultimate goal of doing a pull-up. Now it's main event time. It's the time we've all been waiting for. It's time to do that pull-up. You grip onto the bar, you pull yourself off, you struggle, you get your feet off the ground, you're almost there, you get that nose over top of the bar, you get the chin over the bar, and you're ready to come down. You're amped on life, and you try a second one, and, well, maybe you don't have the endurance for it. So once we get into the pull-ups, keep in mind, pull-ups are an extremely difficult exercise. Our upper body wasn't developed to actually lift our body off the ground because we really didn't need to do that in life. So give yourself a huge pat on the back for even doing one pull-up off the ground, because that's a huge strength feat that you've just accomplished. By doing multiple in a row, you are developing more and more strength. So keep utilizing the prior techniques I mentioned to help you build up to doing more and more pull-ups. So maybe you do that first pull-up and then you do a couple banded pull-ups. So again, that's going to be a mechanical drop set. You can do some negative pull-ups as a drop set to help get a little bit more volume and actually work on those pull-up mechanics even when you're fatigued. So there's lots of ways to go about it, but once you get that pull-up down, give yourself that pat on the back, because that's a huge feat and a huge accomplishment that you just accomplished. And there you have it, folks. There is your progressions to building up to a pull-up. I hope you enjoyed the video, everybody. I hope you took something away from it. Obviously, there's so much that goes into building up towards a pull-up. You know, we didn't even get into sets, reps, or program design, and those are highly beneficial and important as we're building up to that program. So if you are looking to work on your pull-ups and you want extra help, make sure you reach out to me, Rich at RKAthletics.ca. We have options for online personal training. We have options for in-person personal training. So make sure you hit me up with any questions that you might have about any programs available. For more free content like this, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, and make sure you follow RK Athletics on all social media platforms. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RKAthletics1, and you can follow along on Facebook, RK Athletics. You'll see this smiling mug on there somewhere. But again, hopefully you took something away from this video. Hopefully you're adding something into your workout routine. But I want to know in the comments below, where are you at on the pull-up curve? Are we still on the lat pull-downs? Are we doing some bodyweight rows? Are we doing some actual full-on pull-ups, or are we doing some weighted pull-ups, which is something we didn't even talk about here today? So let me know in the comments, where are you at? My name has been Rich once again, and I want to help people live life to the fullest with RK Athletics.